In this video, I'll be telling you how NIO's ET5 is already beating the Model 3 according to the sales reps in China. And today we are going to examine in depth the tug of war between these two EVs. But before we get started, there's something you gotta wrap your head around. And it's the fact that every single NIO owner knows about Tesla, but still willingly chose NIO. But not every single Tesla buyer in China knows about NIO. Imagine what would happen if all the Tesla buyers knew about NIO. So the first very important thing to grasp is the pricing of these two vehicles. Anybody that tells you NIO is not competing with Tesla, they're full of BS. Ignore them. The pricing is neck to neck between these two cars. So before the price cuts, the Model 3 performance variant was 349K RMB. The ET5 base model, 328K. With the driver's package, which is a must get, you get steering wheel heating and then the rear seat heating and also the front seat massages. It's a must get. With that, it comes up to around 337K RMB. So we can tell that they're pretty much neck and neck. Now, what about the single motor Model 3? Well, that goes for 265K before the price cut. But with NIO, you could rent the battery instead of buying the battery. And if you do that, the price of the ET5 comes down to 258K. And then you just pay $980 monthly plus 80 battery insurance fee. Now, I got to note that the contract for that thing is 43 years long. I know because I signed it. Why 43, not 44? I don't know. But it is that long unless you either sell the car back to NIO or total the car. And of course, none of this money goes to NIO. It goes to Waynong, the battery asset management company. And NIO actually gets the money up front for the battery. And with the driver's package, 267.5K. Prices are neck to neck, guys. With that in mind, how most people end up buying an ET5 is actually they were going to buy the Model 3. According to the sales rep here in Beijing, what happened is there's these Tesla customers. Some of them already placed a non-refundable deposit. But of course, before paying full price, people want to check out, do some more research about their purchase. Just like how if you were to buy a home, you would look at the homes around it and see what that's like, etc. So these people will actually stumble across NIO and see that, oh my God, the price is almost the same. They would test drive the NIO ET5, and 90% of the time after test driving the ET5, they go for the ET5. Even abandoning the Tesla deposit to go for the ET5 because the ET5 has just much better quality. And actually, it's cheaper. Bare bones wise, it's cheaper than the Model 3. So it becomes an absolute no-brainer. Like, why would you choose the Model 3 when it's more expensive than ET5? And you can tell that ever since ET5 started doing deliveries, Tesla deliveries started dropping in China. Coincidence? I think not. But there was, of course, a little hiccup. Back in September, well, while I was having hot pot dinner, like I have lots of dinners with the NIO Manager, hot pot or barbecue. I even introduced Indian cuisine to him. He's never had Indian food before, but he actually loved it. So we're getting off track. So he tells me a lot of stuff. This is why, like, I probably know a lot more about NIO than most of you guys. Not to be condescending, but one thing he revealed was this hiccup back in September. What happened is NIO had so much backlog of the ET5, and that's of course a good thing because you got a lot of orders. That's fine, that's good. But what that meant was at around that time, if you placed an order for ET5, you would not get that car before the end of the year. And what happens at the end of the year? Well, the EV subsidy is gone by the end of the year. So you have to take delivery of the car in 2022 to get the EV subsidy, which is worth 13,000 RMB here in China. So he told me because of this situation that they had to wait and they would potentially miss out on the EV subsidy. Actually, they would, of course, miss out because there were so many orders ahead of them, ET5 orders. What happened was there was a lot of cancellations, ET5 cancellations, and people ended up going for the Model 3 just for the EV subsidy. He told me a rough ballpark about many hundreds That's his wording. Many, many hundreds. But of course, we don't dwell on the past. Who cares? But this shows that there's a certain level of price sensitivity at this price point that the Model 3 and ET5 are competing on. Luckily, NIO was very fast to react, and what they did was they extended the EV subsidy out of their own pocket into 2023 for all those people that placed their orders in 2022. So even if you weren't going to take delivery in 2022, you would potentially miss out on the credit. You may be thinking, I'll cancel my order, go for a Tesla because I can get delivery of that faster. No worries. You still get the same discount in 2023. NIO's giving you the discount out of their own pockets. So that's very nice of them to do. But they couldn't do it with the ET5 because, quote unquote, the margins were too tight on that car to afford such a discount. And this also reveals something that we're going to talk about later on as well. So September was the cutoff date. So as long as you placed your ET5 order before the end of September, even if you take delivery of it in 2023, you would still get the same amount in EV subsidy as discount. And those that placed the orders in October, November, December for the ET5s, yeah, they can't afford to give those guys discounts for their ET5s. But of course, this hiccup, people canceling the ET5 for the Model 3 just for a 13,000 RMB credit EV subsidy, that price sensitivity is why Tesla is doing price cuts. Now, of course, this has angered a lot of Tesla owners and Tesla buyers, and all those people that thought they were smart to buy the Tesla before the end of 2022. They got the EV credit, but they ended up getting burned anyways, because even though in 2023 there's no EV credit for Teslas, the overall price of the car is still cheaper than what they bought it for. NIO would never do something this crazy. So with the discount, the Model 3 Performance all-wheel drive version is $329K. And remember, the ET5 base price, $328K. That seems really, really close. I mean, coincidence? I think not. I think Tesla knows who's taking their lunch, and they want to get their lunch back. And the Model 3 standard single motor version reduced down to only $229K. That's way cheaper than before. Before, $265K was more expensive than NIO's ET5 with BAS. Now, it's much, much cheaper. So it begs the question, even with all this discount, would people still choose a ET5 over a Model 3? And interestingly enough, I did a poll on YouTube with you guys, the viewers, the audience. Keep in mind the two options were the same, cost the exact same amount of money. So I asked people, would you rather have the all-wheel drive NIO ET5 with no NIO stock at all, or the base Model 3 and 1,383 shares of NIO stock? Both cost the same amount of money here in China, and a whopping 64% of you guys chose the second option. This presents an interesting dilemma. Budget is still the considering factor for EV purchases. If you can save some money, invest the rest, people tend to prefer that over just spending everything and not having anything to invest. In that sense, psychologically, the price cuts would work. And we're seeing that there's a wave of new buyers that are starting to buy Tesla as Tesla's price dips into their budget. Now, of course, with this disparity in prices and a whole price war waging on, if you guys don't know, the BMW i3, which some people will consider bad car, some people might like it. The i3 sedan, not the small thing that they released many, many years ago. The new i3 sedan, which is sort of like the 3 Series, but electrified. The price of that has been cut dramatically due to inventory buildup. And what we're seeing right now, that car that goes for $350K, which is also in NIO ET5's price range, has just been discounted to an oblivious $220K. This is online, and most areas you can only buy it for around $240K, but still, that's a massive discount. 100K RMB in discounts, which is insane. And we're seeing what's happening, and well, this is predicted by NIO's ex-PR head, and he's a really respected guy, and he said we're going to move from, and also Morgan Stanley said this as well, we're moving from a period of undersupply and chip shortages and everything like that, and we couldn't meet demand, to a period of oversupply and a lot of inventory. And one thing that really shocked me was when we reopened, I went to one of the NIO stores, of course, just to see what it was like. And I was just casually talking to the sales rep, and they told me there's a lot of inventory for all the models except the ET5, and you could just get one like that, like on demand, a pre-built vehicle. So we are moving into a period of oversupply, and it's very important for companies to navigate these waters and be able to come out on top. Personally, I've offered my suggestion on how NIO should tackle this price war battle, which is, of course, to come out with a single motor rear wheel drive version of the ET5. You're able to cut the price down and make it accessible to a lot of people, especially during this period of time where businesses are very tough. You're seeing a lot of people sell their homes. And one interesting, shocking statistic is that there's over 100,000 homes for sale being listed on the internet here in Beijing. But we'll talk about that in another video. And obviously, no EV subsidy is a very tough deal breaker here. As the EV price war rages on, this isn't going to be the last time Tesla cuts prices. They will cut prices again in the future for sure, because their margins allow it to suck in a new wave of buyers. So I'm also very eager to see what NIO is going to do to punch back at Tesla in this EV price war. What do you think NIO should do with growing inventories and the price war waging on? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.